And if we run out, we can always. Oh, you have more.
Do you mind if I video?
Oh yeah, you can. But you get to video all the mistakes as well.
The raw
footage. Yeah. So you want the middle stems to be kind of close together because at some point you're going to be doing this and they're all going to be standing up. And then the outside comes in, and then you have a circle of empty space in which you put stuff. So brought some sweet potato to put in there. I could tell you a whole bunch of stories about what happens when you offer food, which is different than when you're offering flowers. So, you want to hear?
Yes.
Yeah.
Food people come to eat it.
No, not people.
Animals.
Not animals.
Yeah.
It's all symbolic. You offer food. You shouldn't necessarily offer food. It depends, I guess, who you're making the offering to. The offering goes onto the ahu. The energy of it goes into wherever it is. But you can take it off after. And we've done that before with mangoes and all kinds of stuff. Because once it's accepted on the ahu, that it's taken already. And now this is just stuff, right? Yeah. And so on our way out, we go back and we pick it up. And then we eat it. And that seems kind of like a natural thing because you don't want it to be wasted or spoiled.
You don't want it to rot.
Yeah, isn't that good?
So you want to take it with you. And one of the cool that shared, that's where I came up with you were sharing that the essence is what you're offering, and the substance is what you would take out.
So what happens, however, is when you make that kind of an offering to other things, and there are other things like stones, then what happens is you end up feeding it, like feeding the cats. Yeah. They follow you. I mean, I don't think that's bad. I'm okay with stuff following me because it doesn't feel dangerous or anything to me. Not. I mean, I need something to tie a knot.
Oh.
Yeah. What do we have? I have some.
Is this
Oh, maybe I use this one. Or take off our red one. Yeah, you can like pull it up or like that. Excuse me. I mean, the point is to see what you can do with what there is instead of bringing a rope or something.
A little bit about the ahus that we have there. We use them for makahiki, but initially the ahus were put up because the military would not allow us to offer hokupu to any of the sites.
Let's see, I might be able to make them tight enough.
So we ended up constructing the ahus so it could receive hokupu for the valley.
Good there. Okay, so you want to get the sweet potato? I'm just kind of like. Around.
What color is her around?
Speaking of tuna in that area, so my nephew has nothing to do with this. Works in a garage over there in that area. They're still like a few miles away, and he posted a photo on his Facebook page of Pele's hair. Tons of it.
Yeah, a lot. They tell you to not use your windshield wipers because the scraper. It's like glass. It's like really thin.
Yeah. So what he did was picked it up with a glove. So he had it in his gloved hand. I was saying, wow, I want some. And I said, send me some of that. He said, oh, Auntie, too late now. we had to kind of get rid of it. Justin, do you have anything else that might go in here? In fact, can you kind of like, I'm going to let some.
I didn't realize that's how Pella's hair is formed. Yeah, at like that. It explodes like that.
Yeah.
It's like thin, really thin glass. It's very sharp.
What hair?
Pella's hair.
Is that what people hang and it just grows on its
No,
own?
not the vine. It's the shards. It's like from the explosion from Like
Oh.
it's like really thin like glass.
Oh,
It looks
wow.
like hair. It looks
Yeah.
like hair. Looks like your hair.
It's not the plant.
No, it's not the
That's
plant.
what I thought you were talking
Yeah,
about.
no.
Okay. Oh, so it's coming out of the volcano.
Yeah, after an explosion.
Wow.
It's a lot. Like and it floats because it's kind of in the air. Because
Since it was special.
I mean, the fissures are.
Yeah. I only saw them.
Make sure that the other thing doesn't break.
Beautiful.
Wow, anything to keep it separated. It's crazy. That is intense.
Divide and conquer.
You want to use natural materials.
Yeah. Okay, now you can help me fold. Oh,
So what was that?
Going on the main ahu, or is this going
No.
up with us?
this is for you
Okay.
to take. So, do you want to share anything? I also brought a picture of Leandra, which is going to go on with you.
What was that we tied it with?
Raffia.
Raffia?
Yeah, it's just a dried
It's,
material.
yeah, kind of like dried stripped leaves. Here.
They use it a lot for lei making.
Oh, okay.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, yeah.
I haven't seen this one either.
Yeah, so I went online and I was looking for a picture of Leandra. And there she was. She was showing people around.
But that is also the
Maupuna
Punavai.
Really?
Yeah, that's where the kalo grew.
Oh, pass it
Wow.
around then. I didn't know that. I didn't know. I couldn't recognize any of the background stuff. So then what we're going to
I was denied by
People
Sparky.
probably don't know what Hanai means. Do you want to share?
Folks know what Hanai?
No.
Okay, so Hanai is essentially family. It's not blood. So it's a big deal. It's a really big deal. So I've been Hanai'd into Sparky and Leandra's Ohana. And so that means I represent them to places where Uncle Sparky cannot go, like some of the sites that we're going to go to. So we were talking story yesterday, and right before I left, Uncle Sparky had me choose a piece of coral that Puna Leandra had gathered and put it at their hale. So this is the piece that kind of called out to me, and we're going to put it in here, and then we're going to present this hupu up at the hea up there, and yeah.
You want
So
to
that's-
talk about significance of coral?
Coral was used as ho'opupu at Heiau. They knew that the place that we were going, when the archaeologists first stumbled upon it, they knew it was Heiau because there was coral up there already, and it's up 1,200 feet, 1,300 feet in elevation. So there's no way coral could get there without it being presented. So since it just seems like the natural to bring up there now.
And if you look at how coral grows, it's made up of millions of ohana, individual cells. So it's like a family that you're putting there. And if you, and the kind of ho'okupu that you would give, that would be one of them, but it's not one that, if you felt that it didn't want to come, you couldn't bring it. So, an example of people that take rocks from Kilauea, or they're selling stuff from the volcano now on eBay and stuff, they don't want to leave. You gotta ask permission. So when you ask permission, you'll feel that it's the right thing to do or not. And if it's not and you force it, there's always a price.
consequences.
So this is from our Ahu at home, and it was selected by Leandra. So this is our selection to go to the mo'o that are up there.
That's the lizards.
Are they? The petroglyphs that you'll see up there is the mo'o.
Which also means, which has other meanings as well, because it's part of, I guess, a root word for genealogy and story. So mo'olelo is a series of stories, which is kind of like a genealogy. It's from yourself going back, also from yourself going forward. That's a whole different other story. But there was this guy, John Kamikawa, who's a kumuhula and a composer and a storyteller and passed already, but he told us one story. They shared a house, his mom, him, his sister, her family, and there were girls, and one of the girls was, I think, 17. And John said he went to, when he was sleeping one night, a child called him and told John what his name was. And then when he woke up in the morning, he went to his mom and said, "Somebody here pregnant?" And they asked. And then the girl said, "How did you know?" And so John said, "Because the baby came and told me what his name was. So I'm just telling you." And she was like kind of shocked because it was a secret. And she was very early on, so wasn't sharing. So this whole idea about mo'olelo and genealogy, and it goes like in both ways. And we tend to forget because we live in a society which today, the present, is like everything, right? And then from there you just look back. But actually we're just like in the middle of whatever. It's a different way to look at how we see ourselves. And I also think that there's a lot of repetition. Everything we think that we're doing, no one has ever done. But of course they have, and maybe we have in our genealogy, going either way. So it's all been done before. This is our time to do it now. But there's nothing really new. We still got to play our part. If you think of it in a really large context, it's like making music, like writing a score. There's a lot of repeats and there's a lot of altogether something really beautiful, and you got to ask yourself, what was it for them? I always ask that. If we're all participating in making something that is really beautiful that we cannot see in its entirety, then who is it for? So if you believe in God, it must be for God or the universe or whatever.
I want to share a little bit about the mo'o.
Yes.
Kahuna Sam Lono shared a story about the mo'o and how it relates to the ohana. So the eyes, the head, represented by the children. They're looking at the world, they see what's going on. Two front legs are the parents of that child. Two back legs, grandparents. And each notch in the tail is generations before, all the way to infinity. So your children is actually the leader in the existing world, and then the parents, and then as we leave this world, we become part of the notches on the tail,
Which grows longer.
which grows longer. And then that part connects us all.
Do you add to that every time?
I don't. It never occurred to me to do that. But well, anyway, so that's kind of like what you're saying. This part can actually continue to go round and round. Anybody want to share any insights? Since we're
Natural, you don't want any bought things. The most sacred is water, but not bottled water. You can store it in a bottle, but you want to gather it. So rainwater, spring water, stream water from a certain place. So Leandra would actually, when we go to Waipio Valley, gather water and bring it back. Gather water from the spring, or gather water when it's raining at home. go to different places, and so like the black sands of on the Big Island. Go to Waipio and you've got the golden sand. You got areas with black and area of white. So each one of those had its own element. In the soil, you've got the different colors of soil. The red, the alai is what they would use to color salt, but it also had a high mineral content. So that would be one of the colors. But she had blue, she had green, she had gold. I mean, all kinds of different things that was gathered from different locations. So whatever was special from that aina could be used, gathered as ho'okupu. But again, you're not taking something that doesn't want to come. That doesn't want to be part of what you're doing. So if you're stealing, that's not a good thing. You don't want to give. You don't want to give something that's stolen.
How do you offer water? For
Yeah, just like this. So the water that I just put on there will go with them. And although this came from my faucet, this came from my house, and it came with our ohana and our love. So, like I was sharing earlier, the ahu that we have put up is not historic. This is something contemporary we put up. We would find, the archaeologists here would find sites. So we would go there and you'd see bullet holes in them, you see that it may have been bombed or blown up. So we want to offer hokupu, but because it's a site that the military now acknowledged, we could not. They wouldn't allow us to do it. So they could blow things up, they could run their troops by it, helicopter could fly over it, and you know the vibration from the rotor wash would affect the site, but we couldn't do it. They wouldn't let us do it. So we requested to put ahu to receive the ho'okupu that we would bring. They don't like it because it's a place that we have anchored, and because of all of the destruction, part of the goal is asking forgiveness. You know, forgive us for destroying all of the aina. And again, the aina is family, so this is part of that asking forgiveness. So asking forgiveness and praying for peace and offering that the life-giving nutrients and spirit to the aina, to our family. In our battle with the army, we're the voices for the Hawaiians that don't have a voice. The native species, both plants, animals. They would start a fire, burn the whole valley out, and burn through all the natives and destroy them. And Fish and Wildlife would say, oh, okay. But it wasn't okay because these Hawaiians didn't have a voice and they're constantly burnt back. That's why you don't see trees. You'll see skeletal remains of some of the burnt out trees, but you won't see natives, not big ones. And if you're able to identify them, they'll be small, they'll be stunted, and struggle for nutrients and survival. Pretty much the same as the Hawaiians that are still surviving here in Hawaii as well. So, sorry.
No,
You guys
that's
keep
great.
diverting.
That's great.
Too much info, gonna give you guys
Awesome.
headache, but
keep it calm. Not even close. Not even close. I'm full sponge mode, right?
well, listen to Makua. She has a lot to say.
Yeah, and at some point, maybe you guys will share with us what you heard. So what's the message coming your way? Because we're all getting different ones. So we need help with tying this guy up. So what happens is after you place your hokupu, yes, please come forward. And then what we're gonna do is make a bundle. Whoops. And I'm gonna get a piece of raffia.
And is that green when it grows and then it turns brown?
Yeah, and so what you want to do is kind of like bring it all together, you know, so that it looks like a really big lala.
Like an artichoke.
Well, yeah, a bit. So yeah, and so at some point it will be tied. So you want to make it nice and
Tight.
Yeah, so things don't fall out. Okay, tie that on that side while I put it here. And if it needs more, then we'll just tie some more. Yeah, that looks a little short. I never made a group thing before. This is good. Here. Tie another one here. Over there.
Young lady, if you can press this around, I really like playing with the cat, but these guys get really nuts when you go beyond.
I've
what
wondered
the-
that. Yeah.
So you've been actually pushing the limits, and I'm surprised they haven't said anything. But go for it. I mean, I'm okay with it.
I just say don't go behind me.
They did say that.
Yeah, they're really nice guys. So
Okay.
So I think that it's what you said. Like, you do this.
As you go towards the ocean, the stream, and if you notice, a lot of the cutaway is where the water would rush through. And it's a lot, I believe, a lot of the erosion is caused because when it floods, this is one of the areas it floods up. But further down, the stream flowed through, and if you look in the background of that movie, you'll see trees that are like 60 feet tall in the background. You'll see the entire valley. And right now you see the valley where it's mostly light green. The dark green represents bigger trees, but in that film they show a lot more of the natives. So you can see the difference between when that was shot in the 60s to now, and how much of the environment has changed through fires, training, that kind of military activity by looking in the background. So you have to look past the actors and the scene to see what the valley looked like. And the ship was anchored right outside.
And the movie was Hawaii.
Hawaii, by James A. Michener.
Okay.
In the, what, 60s? Yeah.
Yeah, 60s.
Yeah. Now archival footage almost. Yeah.
Now there's another thing. The path that we came in is over a heiau that had been destroyed. Kumu'akua Okio heiau. And if you look at the ground, you see small pebbles. And that would be the top part of the heiau. We don't know much about it. Remembering the name for me sometimes is challenging, but kind of imagine what that definition would evoke. And if the children and the families that lived here, how would that be represented? And the other beliefs within the Hawaiian belief system was that you had Ku, Kanaloa, Kani, and Lono as the primary male deities. And within the beliefs, each one had their own practices. So one of the questions I had to one of the Hawaiian practitioners was, where would they put the Kanaloa, which is the ocean heiau? So out here there's a big flat parking lot, and he said that the heiau would have to be washed by salt or waves or sea breeze. So during the winter, that whole section with the Kono winds bring a whole bunch of salt breeze there all the time. So the heiau would have been there, and on records it shows that the heiau that was there was destroyed. But the ones destroyed, we don't know what it was used for, or who built them, how long ago, other than they don't exist. Same with this one here, one over there. And the only existing heiau right now is all the way on the other side, which is Ukanipo. And I believe that it was the transition place before they would go to the Lena. So some people say it was a luakini, sacrificial heiau, but if you can understand the way of processing the dead, they wouldn't just bury somebody right away. They would make sure that they were dead. So they would sit and lay in state for maybe 3 days. So if some Westerners seen a body in state, they would think, oh, they're sacrificing somebody. When in actuality, they were actually the mortuary or that process for
Wait, so
taking care of the body.
they naturally died?
Well, people die.
Yeah. So those are the bodies that they use, not the live people.
Well, I mean, the ones that were living, I believe that heiau was used as a transition, because Kahanaiki is a transition place. So the bodies would go there, and you know, people lived here for maybe 1,000 years. Where did they all die? I mean, you know, if you have 100 people here every year, and there's a percentage dying every year after 1,000 years, you got a few bodies that need to be processed. And there are various ways of doing the dead. So some would be an imu, and they would take the skin, the flesh off, and the bones would be taken care of. Or they would be put into the sand, and the crabs would take the flesh off, and then the bones would be gathered, and then the bones would be hid. And the other way would be either salt or seaweed wrap, and they would be put in canoes and then hid that way. So different ways of processing the dead depended on the belief that you had, whether it was ku, lono, kanaloa, or lono.
Oh, wow.
And each one had their own practices and beliefs. So anyway, just a little bit of...
That lends itself to a talk because I think it's really interesting. I have listened to different people who are practitioners, but not from this island, actually talk about the disposal, but they also talk about what happens immediately after death, because the soul or whatever it's called is doing something.
Yeah.
It has stuff to do.
And some people would be able to massage the feet to bring them back.
Yes.
And they would end up in human life. So,
because you mentioned Lena, which is a jumping off place for spirits. There's one at Ka'enar on the other side, Mokulea. We come in from that way.
Yeah, well, either way. So those here would... And our sister Aupua is right over that hill there. Kauai Hapai. So relatives of Wailua were more related into Kauai than to Tau.
And when you stand on that ridge, it's all connected. It doesn't. There's no division. So
It's just on maps.
Yeah.
People creating maps and then making
I
divisions.
depart and
Yeah.
see what's going to happen for me next. Whether I am allowed to stay or whether I'll be escorted out. Escorted out is good. I mean, I don't mind. I like being outside because I can see what I like.
This is the evidence of previous human activity or occupation or living or farming or worshiping. It depends how you define destruction, but they arrange the rocks in certain ways to make it a living surface or a farming area. I mean, this is different than a lot of other places, I think, because that's a lot of rock right here, right?
Have you studied the spot then?
I've only been here once before, so I don't know much about this particular spot.
You can't dig here, so you can't look for artifacts.
Big tail, see the big tails coming up?
Yeah, I didn't see that
And there's
before.
actually probably two. See, there's a tail here and a tail here, so there might be one down here. And then there's another one over here. Right? See the legs, big tail. And then there's something else up here. That could be a dog, it could be another lizard that just didn't make it all the way.
Dave out for dinner after we go snack.
That's alright, I got a bunch of stuff in the truck too.
Stuff in the bag too.
I brought a delicious chicken tikka masala.
Ooh.
Wow,
Sounds
say that
fancy.
again.
Bye.
Chicken tikka masala. Oh, look at that. How many things do I have? Anybody else?
I don't know. I think they're kind of like.
Oh.
Cut that.
Ave Maria, gratia plena. Maria, gratia plena. Maria, gratia plena. Ave, Ave Dominus, Dominus tecum, benedicta tui mulieribus, et benedictus fructus ventris, ventris tui, Iesus.
I apologize for the bumpy picture, but we're going down.
You should sing.
We're going down.